Hello boys and girls, my name is White Rhino PSO, and today I am playing Car Mechanic Simulator 2015. Now, this is just the first of many different simulator games that I plan on eventually playing for the channel, but I thought that of the ones I have in mind, this would be probably the best one to start off with. So, in Car Mechanic Simulator 2015, as the title suggests, you play as a mechanic and you own your own garage and you do repair work on people's cars and trucks. There's not a whole lot else to explain without getting right into the game, so let's start a brand new profile. My name is White Rhino. There is an expert mode, which it wouldn't really make sense to explain any of this stuff now because a lot of it wouldn't make any sense. So basically, expert mode makes the game harder, but also makes the end result of that work, it makes it a little better. And let's start a brand new game. On my computer at least, the loading screens for the game they can be pretty terrible. Thankfully, the only time the game really needs to load anything is when you first get into the game itself and whenever you take on a new job. So, thankfully, you really won't have to deal with too many loading screens during my videos, at least. Except for this one, because Mother of God, it still got it. Alright, there is a tutorial built into the game. It is pretty bare basics though, so I feel like anything it can explain, I can explain just as well myself. And that also means I won't have to deal with any of those really horrible loud beeping noises. I'll get to you in a minute. Before I begin though, in the real world, I actually work in the auto parts retail field. And sometimes I have to drive parts out to different garages in the area. Let me tell you though, very few of them are this spacious, and not a single one of them is this clean. Alright, to start off though, you have to take a job, which you do by going to this phone right here. The phone shows up to 4 different jobs, though the latter two, or the number 3 and 4, tend to always be jobs that you can't really accept for one reason or another. In the list though, it will show the name, the make and model of the car, which outside of a few officially licensed DLC, they're all made up names. Thank you, phone. It'll show you the look of the car, as well as a little box there showing what color it is, and if it's a DLC car, it'll have that stripe. It'll have 6 little icons showing the basic area of the car where the problems lie, and then it will show a description of what's wrong with the vehicle. Some of them will just simply tell you, like, car is hard to control, and then say list provided. That means that as part of the job, it will show you a list of all the different parts that the person who owns the car wants you to fix. Then you'll have jobs like this one over here, where it just says, find and fix all engine problems. That one, it won't tell you what the parts are. You actually have to go through the vehicle and try to figure out what it is. For now though, I'm just going to take this simple one here, the Royale Bianco, which is car is hard to control. So when you take a job, it takes a few seconds to load the vehicle itself, which even though every car of that make and model looks the exact same outside of like the color, it still takes the same amount of time to load. So once the car is in your garage, which you actually have to have an empty spot right here to even be able to take the job, you can go. Oop, I clicked outside the window. You can go around and open the doors. You can open the hatch if you really want to. Sit in the seat and take a look at it. Take a look at the different interesting stuff. It is apparently 12. Thank you. It is apparently 12:48. That almost looks like it says AM, which would be very wrong compared to the outside color or outside time of day. Alright, if you hit O while facing the vehicle, it will show you the repair order, which shows all the different tasks you have to do, and the little X shows that you have not completed it yet. So for this one, it says I have to replace the front sway bar end link. The little star here, I don't think you can do it on normal mode, but in... I don't think you can do it on expert mode, but in normal mode, you can click it, and I'll show you in just a minute. First though, the sway bars are part of the driving suspension, so you have to hit M. Well, I don't know if you have to actually. I will just for the sake of it though. You hit M and it lets you move the car to the different spots of the garage. The test path, paint shop, parking lot, and the dyno are not available to begin with. The dyno is actually part of the performance DLC, which I do not yet own. I will eventually though. But then you've got two lifters over on the sides there. So you hit M, and you move it to the left lifter, and it automatically moves there and lifts up just a little from the ground. I'm pretty sure suspensions needs the lifter though. So then you click on the lifter controls here. I'm going to back up just so it's less loud. And it lifts it up so you can get underneath the vehicle. So it shows all the different parts here. Now you click on the section of the vehicle and most of the body goes invisible so you can more easily move around. But remember when I was using the car repair order and I clicked that little star? That means that the specific part that it wants you to repair ends up being highlighted in white like this. So then you can click it, and now the camera will center specifically on that part. To remove it, you got to be in disassembly mode, and you hold right click to tell the vehicle or tell the game that you want to take that part off. But the little sound it made says that there's something stopping you from removing that part. And as you can see, when I put the pointer over the sway bar link, the rim of the tire goes red. That's another thing that expert mode doesn't have, is the game in normal mode will tell you what is in the way that means you have to remove it in order to remove that. You have to remove the tire in order to get to that part. So click on the wheel and then click right click and hold, and it tells the game, okay, I'm removing the tire now. Which is, then it selects the, it shows a little highlight of the different bolts or nuts or whatnot that are holding that particular part on, which for the tire obviously is the lug nuts. So then you just left click and hold on each of those, and it removes each of them in turn. While looking up videos for this game before I decided to record it myself, I saw a guy who apparently does work on vehicles himself and said, or at least knows more than me, who said you always want to take the top lug nut off last in real life, because otherwise, say you take off the top 3 or 4 and then you take the bottom one off and then the tire falls onto you as you're sitting there trying to remove it. Alright, so with the last lug nut off, the tire ends up in my inventory. Which you can hit I, and it shows the rim with a 66% condition. I believe most vehicles, at least in normal mode, you have to have parts that are at least 60% condition before the game will decide that it is acceptable. So, now I can swing around back again. And I'm not seeing any red parts for the sway bar link, so I'll try to remove it. Alright. So, another indication of what part is not good if you don't want to use the little star in the work order is the way that the game handles rust. The rustier a part is, the worse its condition is. So, let's take the top and bottom nuts off, which puts the sway bar into my inventory. So now I can get out of the vehicle, show my inventory. Yeah, that thing, the sway bar has 6% condition, so that's definitely bad. Sway bar front end link A. So then what you do, and trust me, it doesn't happen this quickly in real life, you go to the computer and go to car part shop, and then you can type in sway bar, and it is sway bar end link A, which will cost me $29 to get. In this game, as soon as you buy it from the computer, it is now in your inventory and automatically is 100% condition. So you go back to the vehicle, zoom in on the relative area, and then instead you hit number 2 to go into assembly mode, which will show you outlines of all the different parts that are currently missing from the vehicle, I guess from the deepest to the most outside, because it's not showing the missing rim, but it is showing the missing sway bar link. So then you obviously put on the new one, and it's just the opposite of what you did when you took the part off. Now that that's in place, I can put the tire back on. Oop, zoom out a bit. And then in real life, it is also suggested that you put the lug nuts in with a star pattern to, I guess, equalize the tension on the vehicle itself, or on the different, make sure it's tight all the way around. Alright, then escape to back out of that. You don't really have to bring it down off the lifter again, but I usually like to. And then open the repair order with O, and it shows, alright, that part has been fixed. So, I spent $29 on this job. I get a $14 bonus for completing all the different tasks, and a $14 bonus for completing the job itself. It appears that however much money you spend on parts is automatically also given to you as part of finishing the job, which seems a little weird, but because I mean, I think most garages will mark things up from whatever price a store will give them. But for this job, I get a fantastic $57. And then the lift goes back down. Now, at the top right, you can see that I've got 4 jobs waiting, but also 104 experience. I believe you get 1 experience point for every part you remove from a vehicle and every part you put onto a vehicle. And then, obviously, you get some sort of experience bonus for completing the entirety of a job, because otherwise I would only have 4 experience for removing the tire and putting it back on, and removing the sway bar and putting it back on. Experience is used in 3 different ways. You can go to, there's a bunch of different toolboxes all around the garage, and you go to any of them, and every 1,000 experience you get gives you 1 upgrade point, and you can use that point on any of the items that will, in the toolboxes, it will show, there'll be different things that can help you do better or quicker jobs, like faster unbolting, faster assembly or disassembly, manual examination, I'll get to in a second. The tablet, I think, is one of the better ones, because with the tablet you can just hit T from anywhere in the garage and it will bring up the same screen as if you had walked across the garage and gone to the computer. The OBD scanner, compression tester, and electronic meter are used to determine what parts are in need of repair on vehicles where the repair order doesn't tell you specifically what is wrong. And then in the middle here, you've got the repair stuff, where over here, there are a bunch of different parts, I think like some suspension stuff and some exhaust things, where you can go to the repair table and attempt to repair them yourself, which works with a percentage. And that way you can actually save money by not having to buy the parts from the in-game store in order to put on the vehicle. I generally never really bother with that, because money is really only used later on in like the auction stuff. You can go to the auction and buy like messed up cars and then bring them to your garage to do work on. So I guess you can eventually sell them or have them like in a little showroom of your own. Upgrade points are also used over here in the garage customization, which, to be honest, when I played this in the past, I had no idea I could do this. And obviously I don't have any upgrade points to try it out, but it looks like you can change the look of the garage itself by spending upgrade points. And also, a certain amount of experience lets you open certain other areas of the shop, like the paint shop here. You need 5,000 experience to open the paint shop. I don't know if there are jobs that require you to paint somebody's car, or if that's just used in tandem with like the auction house stuff. But we don't have a car in the garage to work on, so let's grab another one. We just did a Royale Bianco, and you can see here 1,500 experience or 3,000 experience for either of these. So it's not really, they just kind of take up space, but no real point in declining anyway, because the game will just put another of 2 different jobs you can't take anyway. This one though, there's a knocking noise from the engine bay. And it's a different kind of car, a Rhino Piccolo, from what it says. Alright, so the new vehicle, I believe... Damn it, I clicked outside the window again. Yes, this one, when I was testing it out earlier, I hopped in the driver's seat and I happened to see that for whatever reason, the radio is telling me I live, which I find a little creepy on my own. So what do they want us to do with this one? The only part that's missing, or not missing, good lord, but the part that it wants dealt with is the crankshaft. So, move that off to... Wait, crankshaft? I don't think I need to bring it to a lift for the crankshaft. I just have to get elbowed... Well... Actually, I believe so, yeah. Because I think to get to the crankshaft, I have to go in through the oil pan, which requires me to be under the vehicle. So let's move that off to the lifter. While that's doing its thing, for this, I'm pretty sure I will have to drain the oil out of it, which is where this guy comes in. And give it a left click, and now you can move it around the garage. Is it... Ooh, and it's left click to let go. If you drain the... Let me back away from that. If you drain the oil out of an oil pan in this game without having the oil drain collector nearby, or not nearby, but without having it underneath the vehicle, then you actually get fined, like an environmental fine. So let me drain plug. Hopefully I'm lined up right. It's a very thick dark brown color. And that is all it takes to drain the oil. So move this guy over here, because I'm not going to really need to get into the path or anything. The path, I believe, is also another way to find out different parts of the vehicle that might be having issues. Alright. So, oh, that's easy. Okay. So straight off, remove the oil pan itself, now that it is empty. Which, in reality, well, I would think it would be easier to remove this big section of exhaust in order to even get at the oil pan, but I suppose it wouldn't be a requirement. Oh, Jesus, this is going to be a bigger job than I thought. Because in order to remove that, I'm going to have to remove the bottoms of all the crankshafts. Alright, that's one. Number two. 3. Oh, see? I can't remove the crankshaft now because I need the pistons, but those are accessible from the engine bay itself. Which means I gotta back out of here and put the lifter back down. But from what my timer now is telling me, it looks like I am out of time for this video. So, the next video, I'm going to keep tearing apart this guy's engine in the hopes of doing a job that I have no idea, but I hope it's going to get me a lot of money for the amount of hassle that it's putting me through. But until the next time, as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.